So people ask me why they can't get their horse to do stuff, and other people can get their horse to do stuff that they can't get their horse to do. In my experience, it really comes down to these two things: making a plan and escalation of pressure. Now, we're talking specifically about horseback riding here. Want to make a distinction between horseback riding and horsemanship. Sometimes in horsemanship, I talk about letting things take as much time as they need to take. Horseback riding is a little bit of a different animal. And in this situation, we're talking about specifically getting your horse to do something, i.e. making the transition into a canter, right? Why can't I get my horse into a canter? Everybody else can get my horse into a canter, and I just can't do it, right? Well, these are the two things we need to talk about: making a plan and escalation of pressure. So what is it about a plan? What's the purpose of a plan? A plan is not just, so I know what I'm going to do, but it also gives you a bar to grade things by. So for instance, getting my horse into a canter. I come into an arena and I say, I'm going to ask my horse to canter. I'm going to get my horse to canter at that corner, right? Now I know if I have gotten to that corner and I am beginning to canter, I have succeeded, right? And if I have gotten through the corner and my horse is trotting really fast and I'm bouncing all over the place, I have failed, right? So success or failure kind of is defined by that moment. Now, it doesn't mean you're a horrible rider if you didn't get your horse to canter. It just means we need to reassess, come around again, and try it again. So that's the purpose of a plan. Now, how do you make a plan? It doesn't matter. Any plan is a good plan. So just make a plan. Make any plan. Just decide on a plan. That's going to be one of the hardest things here, is just making the decision of that is where I'm going to do it, and then sticking to your plan and being honest with yourself whether you've succeeded or not. So that's the first thing, a plan. The next thing is escalation of pressure. Now, the escalation of pressure has a purpose. The purpose of escalation of pressure is to start with little pressure on your horse, quickly move up until they execute, until they have done what you've asked and you have executed your plan. If you have gotten to that line of that corner and you've passed that corner and your horse hasn't done what you've asked them to do, what your plan was for them to be doing, then you haven't escalated enough. Now, I get this a lot where people say, I don't want to hurt my horse, right? I don't want to escalate too much. Well, don't think so much of yourself. First of all, you're not that strong. Horses weigh 1,000 pounds. You're not going to hurt them. And especially if you're not going to be using crops and spurs and big bits and all that sort of stuff, those mechanical exterior things that you can use to use more pressure than you can normally. Not that those necessarily always hurt the horse, but in order to hurt the horse, we're not going to do it with our little legs and our little hands. So keep that in mind. Don't worry about it, is basically what I'm saying. If you have gotten to that point and your horse hasn't done what you wanted in your plan, then you know you haven't escalated enough. You haven't used enough pressure to get them there. So all you got to do is go back around as you approach your goal point of where you want the horse to canter. You start with a little pressure, use more, and they'll listen. But you got to make sure you've set the goal, you know exactly where you want them to canter, and that as you're approaching it, you start with a little pressure and you escalate that pressure until they've actually done what you wanted. Don't forget, though, if they didn't do it, you didn't use enough pressure, right? That's okay. You just come back around and do it again. That's, in a nutshell, how you get your horses to do stuff.